Many people think that nuclear bombs are only a threat when used in wars or as a show of power. But what if we did something unexpected and placed one or all at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the world's oceans? In this video, we will examine this scenario. With over 13,000 nuclear warheads existing worldwide, the impact in such an extreme environment could reveal surprising insights. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you're a regular viewer, this exploration promises to shed light on the potential consequences and scientific phenomena that could arise from such an unprecedented act. So let's find out. Where is the Mariana Trench? The Mariana Trench is a deep crack at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. It's the deepest hole in our planet's surface, found far off to the east of the Philippines and north of Papua New Guinea. This trench is the deepest part of all the oceans, with its lowest point called the Challenger Deep, reaching down about 36,000 feet. That's deeper than the height of the tallest mountain, Mount Everest. The trench is more like a crescent, stretching over 1,500 miles long and about 43 miles wide in some places. The sides of the trench are steep, but they're not just barren cliffs. They're full of life and surprising features, like underwater mud volcanoes and strange hot springs that shoot out minerals. One of the most fascinating things about the Mariana Trench is the creatures that call it home. Despite the extreme pressure, darkness, and cold, life finds a way to thrive. Scientists have found fish, shrimp, and even microorganisms living in these harsh conditions. These creatures are special because they have adapted to survive in a place where the pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at the surface. Exploring the Mariana Trench is super hard. The pressure is so intense that it would crush most submarines like a soda can. Only a few special subs, like the Trieste or James Cameron's Deep-Sea Challenger, have made it to the bottom. These missions help us learn about the trench and how life can exist in the most extreme places. The Mariana Trench also plays a big role in how the Earth's crust moves. It's a subduction zone, where two of Earth's plates meet and one slide under the other. This process is slow but powerful, and it can lead to earthquakes and even help form new land over a long time. So what impact will nukes have if it's detonated at the bottom of this trench? The explosive power of nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are some of the most powerful tools ever made by man. They can cause a huge amount of destruction, much more than any other weapon. Some of the most powerful ones ever made have the strength to destroy whole cities in just one blast. One famous nuclear bomb is called Little Boy, which was dropped on Hiroshima, Japan in 1945. This bomb had about 15 kilotons of power. That means it was like 15,000 tons of TNT exploding all at once. Even though this sounds like a lot, it's actually small compared to some other nuclear weapons. Another bomb, called Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki, Japan, just a few days after Hiroshima. This one was a bit stronger, with about 21 kilotons of power. The damage and loss of life from these two bombs showed the world just how terrible nuclear weapons can be. But these bombs from the 1940s are not even close to the most powerful ones made. In 1961, the Soviet Union tested the biggest nuclear bomb ever, called the Tsar Bomba. This giant bomb had a power of about 50 megatons. That's 50 million tons of TNT. The explosion from the Tsar Bomba was so big that it broke windows hundreds of miles away and could be seen from very far distances. The Tsar Bomba was so powerful that it scared people all over the world. It showed that nuclear weapons could be too strong and dangerous to ever use in a war. Since then, no bomb that big has ever been tested again. There are also other powerful nuclear weapons, but they are not as strong as the Tsar Bomba. These bombs are made to be more accurate and to cause damage to specific targets instead of just making a big explosion. The power of these weapons comes from splitting atoms or joining them together in a process called nuclear fission or fusion. This releases a huge amount of energy very quickly, which causes a big explosion. What impact could these nukes have as compared to when dropped in the trench? Nuclear weapons' impact can change cities, countries, and even entire continents in just moments. If used, the effects would be devastating, not just because of the immediate explosion, but also due to the long-term consequences. When a nuclear bomb explodes, it releases a massive amount of energy in a very short time. This creates a huge fireball and a shockwave that can flatten buildings and cause immense damage to anything in its path. For example, if a bomb like the one dropped on Hiroshima were to explode in a modern city today, it would destroy most buildings and kill or injure thousands of people instantly. The heat from the explosion can cause fires to start, leading to more destruction. The light from the blast is so bright that it can blind people who are miles away. The explosion also creates a powerful blast wave that can knock down buildings and cause injuries far from the explosion site. But the immediate explosion is just the beginning. Nuclear weapons also release radiation, which can be harmful to people and the environment. This radiation can cause sickness, cancer, and birth defects in people who are exposed to it. It can also make the land, water, and air unsafe for a long time. The use of nuclear weapons would also have a big impact on the world's climate. The dust and smoke from the fires started by the bomb can go high into the atmosphere and block sunlight, leading to cooler temperatures around the globe. This nuclear winter could harm crops and lead to food shortages and ultimately famine. What will happen? If the nuke is dropped in the trench, dropping a nuclear weapon into the Mariana Trench might sound fictional, but it's interesting to think about what would really happen. The Mariana Trench is the deepest part of the world's oceans, going down more than 36,000 feet. If a nuclear bomb were to be dropped into this trench, the first thing to consider is the journey down. The bomb would fall for a long time before reaching the bottom because of the great depth. As it descended, the pressure would increase tremendously, much higher than what we experienced at the surface. Once the bomb reached the bottom and exploded, the situation would be quite different from a nuclear explosion on land or at the surface of the ocean. The immense pressure at the bottom of the trench would contain the explosion to a smaller area than it would on the surface. The water around the bomb would instantly turn into steam, creating a huge bubble of hot gas, but this bubble would collapse quickly because of the surrounding pressure. The shockwave from the explosion would travel through the water, potentially causing landslides on the trench's slopes or creating tsunamis that could travel across the ocean. However, the depth of the trench might limit the size and impact of these tsunamis once they reach shallower waters or land. One of the most significant effects would be the release of radiation into the ocean. This radiation could kill marine life in the vicinity of the explosion and potentially spread further afield, entering the food chain and affecting sea creatures and the humans who rely on the ocean for food. The heat from the explosion would also affect the local environment. It could create temporary hotspots and change the conditions for life forms adapted to the cold, dark depths. Some of the unique and poorly understood ecosystems in the trench could be damaged or destroyed. However, the overall global environmental impact might be less dramatic than one might expect. The deep ocean and the Earth's crust absorb much of the energy and material from the explosion, reducing the immediate effects on the surface environment and atmosphere compared to land or surface water detonation. In terms of geology, the explosion could create new underwater formations or alter existing ones. It could also release gases trapped in the sediment or crust. How many nukes does it take to cause significant impact when dropped in the Mariana Trench? If a single nuclear bomb were dropped into the trench, the immediate area around the explosion would see a huge release of energy. This would create a big bubble of hot gas and water vapor, and it would send shockwaves through the water. But the ocean's huge volume of water and the extreme pressure deep down would absorb a lot of this energy. The effect would be limited to the nearby area, and the wider ocean and land might not feel much impact. To have a significant impact on a larger scale, like affecting global climate or causing massive tsunamis, it would likely take not just one, but a large number of nuclear explosions. The exact number is hard to pin down, because scientists have never tested such a scenario, and for good reason. It would be incredibly dangerous and harmful to the environment. Even then, the unique conditions of the Mariana Trench would limit the effects of these explosions. The deep water absorbs a lot of energy and contains the spread of radiation to some extent. Plus, the trench's location and depth mean that any tsunamis generated by explosions would lose a lot of their energy before reaching distant shores. The real danger would come from the release of radiation into the ocean. A large number of bombs could contaminate vast areas of the ocean, harming marine life and the people who rely on the sea for food. Do you think there is more to this than explained in this video? Let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.